Hey there guys, I hope you're all doing very well. Welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be talking about weapons. So I've seen a lot of promotion, a lot of adverts and trailers for this film, and it did seem like a movie that did interest me. So judging the trailers, it was basically about a story about how 17 children get missing in the same classroom, and essentially you have a group of characters who are trying to you know dig to pieces and try and find them, essentially. So it's kind of like a mystery horror film that had something that was very interesting. So I went with it with very much an open mind, thinking that it was a movie that was going to interest me. I have seen a lot of acclaim for this movie. Like, there's lots of positive reviews already, and I can say that yeah, I agree. This movie is really good and I really enjoyed it. So I already slightly mentioned the story of Weapons earlier, but really the story is based on the mystery of trying to find the missing school children that go missing, that all those children are in the same classroom. And essentially the whole movie that starts it up is really, you have like a child narrator that kind of gives the backstory immediately of like how these children go missing. And you're kind of brought into the scene immediately where practically the film, when you see them running, they all have a particular running style throughout the movie. So I'll kind of demonstrate what they do. So they kind of just run like this throughout the movie. But yeah, it kind of gave my worst attempt of, running in this movie. Unfortunately, my room is not an athletics track. But anyway, I'm kind of getting distracted. So immediately the start of the movie is about the mystery of the disappearance of the children. But then how Weapons really builds up its story is essentially you have a group of characters in this movie, and each character has their own sort of backstory that kind of digs to pieces to know where the disappearance of the children are. So I feel like there's really two main characters from the movie from how I've watched it. So you have one of them, which is the teacher, whose name is Justine Gandy. And she's played by Julia Garner. And essentially she is the teacher that runs the classroom where the disappearance of the children happened. But there is one child that's still around that she kind of gets very suspicious about, who's called Alex. And she's kind of got this sort of force to demand questions from Alex to know where the children are. And she kind of tries to dig her own pieces to know where the disappearance of the children are. But also based on that, she's also as a teacher, she is also faced with a lot of reputational damage from a lot of the parents who are demanding questions where the children are. And one of them is a father called Archer, who's played by Josh Brolin. And he's, gets very angry with Justine, who essentially just wants answers to know where his son is, called Matthew. So there's a lot of things that really happens with a lot of the characters. I feel like the movie itself mostly centers around those two throughout the film, and you get into other perspectives where there's also other characters involved. You also have other characters in the movie, and they're not really like got main roles, but they do kind of have a little of their own story that kind of builds the mystery of where the children are. So you have the principal in the movie, who's played by Benedict Wong. You also have a police officer, and you also have a homeless person who's also a drug addict as well as a burglar. So you have like a lot of these characters that have their story as well, and they kind of, their characters are not as like the main characters of the other characters I mentioned earlier, but their roles is, from their perspective, does build more the pieces and more of the mystery of where the children are. And really, like, the movie itself, like the more it builds up, it gets more tense, like when you see the mystery of what happens. And the movie does a very good job of that. Like, there are like some very tense horror moments. There wasn't really like big jump scares throughout the movie, but I do feel like it does have like this sort of the eeriness to build the tension well in certain scenes. But really, when it comes to near the end of the movie, it gets very grossly disturbing. I just had a lot of fun with a lot of the scenes in the movie, and there were like some, laughs as well from my side as well, because it kind of had like a bit of a satire feel to it as well. So there were like a lot of positives I could really take from that. Now, I don't really have like negatives when it comes to this movie. I think maybe like some of the other characters' backstories felt too secondary to really be a main role in the movie, although it kind of felt like it did build something, but they weren't really. I wasn't really like, very interested with that. I think really the more interesting aspect of most of the characters in the movie is really the father of one of the children in the classroom and the teacher. I think they were the main role. I do kind of like, one of the characters that they do build up at the end where they try and find the mystery of the children. So one of them is Alex's great aunt, who is very unwell. And she's kind of like the person who is like the key of how these children disappeared. And I don't really want to kind of reveal like how it all happened or anything like that, because I don't really like to get into spoilers and just explain about the movie. But she has like one of the big, main roles at near the end that kind of, really digs to pieces of how these kids got missing. And things get very chaotic at the end. And it was something that I did really enjoy looking at, just watching some of the scenes. They were very grossly horrifying, very disturbing, and I thought it was done pretty well. But really, for me overall, I don't really have like really any complaints about this movie at all. I think the movie itself is a very good film. I really enjoyed it. I thought the movie had some tense moments. It was definitely horrifying and grossly disturbing and thought-provoking as well, like especially some of the scenes. Especially the ending, I thought the movie really did shine at the end. And yeah, I thought the movie was really good. I mean, the acting was fine. Didn't have any complaints about that. And I think the story, whilst it kind of set the scene immediately about the whole disappearance of the children, like straight away, I think all the characters' backstories and how it all connected, digging up all the pieces to find the mystery of the children, it was good. And I did really enjoy it. Now, I know people kind of put this up there as a very critically acclaimed movie. I'll be honest, I'm not really so sure about that. I don't really feel like this is like a movie that has like awards and massive acclaim by everybody. I do kind of have that sort of belief. I feel this movie is a very niche film. So I do think this is a movie for certain audiences. Like, if you're not really a fan of like gross horror films or serious gore in this movie, then I don't think this is a movie for you. But if you appreciate and like all these things, this is a movie that won't disappoint you. You will enjoy it. So yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on Weapons. If you have watched this movie, I would like to hear your thoughts on what you think about the movie. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you haven't already, please like, comment, subscribe, dislike if you want to dislike. Thank you for watching. And yeah, that's about it. See you later.